areas where NPP won, you could tell that yes, they won, but the margins are very slim. I mean, a clear indication that where were the people? Because Selo mentioned earlier that if you have, for instance, your vote dropping, you know, you doing away with some 6,000, you ask yourself, and your opponent appreciating with 2,000, you ask yourself, where are the 4,000 people? Clearly, these are people who were supposed to go out there to vote for you, but we can't seem to find their vote, meaning they were not there. So, Same, is that what you pick? That NPP people did not go out there to vote for NPP, but NDC guys were out there to make their party proud.
Exactly, Fema, exactly as it says. I make a comparison of 2008. A similar situation is what we are seeing. I've seen a post from a member of parliament who says that over 6 million people on the voter register did not turn up to vote. A majority of them are in the Ashanti region. A similar situation we saw in 2008 when apathy, you know, caused the NPP in the 2008 election, and history is repeating itself as we are seeing in the figure. So, for instance, you mentioned the Tano North constituency, and the NPP parliamentary candidate there happens to be Dr. Gideon Boakon, who is Dr. Bawumia's spokesperson. You expect him to get more numbers for his boss, but he's doing just 19,000. And John Mahama, Dr. Bawumia is just doing 19,000, and John Mahama is doing 17,000. You know, in a constituency where Dr. Bawumia's aide is NPP parliamentary.
His mouthpiece is there.
You know, you expect a huge margin, you know, in terms of the vote margin. But if you compare the numbers, it's just, I think, 2,000 at most, 3,000 votes between the two candidates. So it tells you, you know, what's happening on the ground.
But could it have been worse?
It couldn't have been worse. It couldn't have been. No, it couldn't have been.
What has the trend been for over
it's been a safe seat for the NPP from Frida Prempeh, you know, time till now. It's always been.
But when I say could it have been worse, meaning that if it wasn't Gideon Boakon, the mouthpiece of
well,
with the wind of change
even more
blowing,
significant decline.
you get it? Could it have been worse?
I'm not sure, because in the primaries of the NPP in the two in that particular constituency, it was Frida Prempeh against Gideon Boakon. Now Frida has held the seat, you know, for a while, increasing the numbers. So the assumption was that even if it wasn't Gideon, Frida would have still pulled the numbers anyway. But I can't really predict, though. I can't really tell, you know. But then I feel it's been blue throughout, and it was not going to change anyway.
But before you come in with this, let me ask this question so that you just tie it in. Could it also have been the fact that whatever voters had against the NPP leadership or the Bawumia also affected, you know, maybe with
his spokesperson
being that, no, you know, if we
well, you are the man who communicates for him, so
we are going with you. If it happens also like that, could it be that your mere presence, you know, we just don't want to see you?
It's possible. It's really possible. But like they say, all politics, especially at the parliamentary level, is local. I'm thinking that parliamentary race between Frida Prempeh and Gideon Boakon was a battle of titans.
It was a deadly one.
It was huge. You had Gideon Boakon of the vice president's office, a key person there, and Frida Prempeh, who at the time was Works and Housing Minister. You know, and people thought, because she was Minister of State, she became Works and Housing Minister. People thought that she was rewarded for her good job, etc. And then she loses the seat, not with a lot of margin. And just after losing the seat, she loses her ministerial appointment.
I mean, everything went wrong for her.
When two giants are fighting like that, it sometimes very much entrenched. And once it's very entrenched, there are deep, you know, cuts. There are deep, you know, the fractures are deeper. That may have a toll, or that may have contributed somewhat. The fact that she lost her ministerial appointment soon after, you know, after the primaries, we had some reshuffle where the gender minister who lost to Kabiru also lost her ministerial appointment and all of that. So Frida Prempeh was affected. That will also anger her followers and may not go out and campaign and vote the way they would ordinarily have done if the primaries was not that, you know, tense and was not that, you know, painful. So I think that may also play a role. I don't know how much of an effort Frida Prempeh gave to that push or that contest. She may have done something, but I'm not sure how much of that she did. That could also account for something, adding to the general mood of change that a country is experiencing. One would expect that Gideon Boakun would have used his influence with the vice president to tell them that the guy is likely to become a president. If he becomes a president, his boy, Tanonoff, will become Little London in the middle of nowhere, but that didn't
Well,
really
maybe
help.
they also felt, no, we are not going to go for your man, so definitely
Exactly.
we know your future.
So that may have affected it. Sometimes when the wave is, there's a reason why it's called a wave.
Yeah.
It sweeps everybody. And if it doesn't even sweep you away entirely, it creams off some of your gains and it reduces you a bit. So if the opponent works harder, the opponent is able to catch up. I'm sure that's what happened in Tanonoff as well.
Right. Nana, so which one are you looking at? Should
Well,
we go
I'll take you to Akachi North
okay.
pretty quick. But then one thing you would also notice that, too early yet to conclude, but one thing you also notice that any election year that witnesses a significant level of apathy, it goes against the incumbents.
Yes.
I mean, that's what happens
It's
all
a
the
general
time.
rule.
That's what happens all the
rule.
time. So
2000
most of the
yes,
time,
it's a
you hear
general
people
rule.
say that opposition does not win election. It is incumbent that loses the election.
Exactly.
And it's very
because
true.
you are the one. I mean,
Because
if you are in power, you offend a lot of people, including your own people.
Yeah.
People are disgruntled, they are angry, they are frustrated. So they may not go and vote for your opponent, but they will just stay off as a protest vote. And exactly what we are seeing in this particular trend.
It's always Ghana against incumbents.
Exactly. 2008, same thing happened.
2016,
same thing happened.
So they're Akachi South.
And then you can also see that it has an 8-year lifespan. There's an 8-year cycle. It happens after every 8 years.
That's why my earlier submission. That's why my earlier submission.
I said that 8 years is up, so your time is up. Whether you somersault.
That's why I said in my earlier submission that Ghanaians have come to understand 8 years.
Exactly.
You don't go beyond 8 years. Whatever.
Perhaps you can. Perhaps the voter feels 8 years is enough for you to
have done anything,
do whatever you want to do.
Because during when we were watching the constituency, you heard people say that voters say that, oh, this MP, he's done well, she's done well, but we think that someone else should also come. So is that our mindset? So regardless of whatever you do, as long as your second term is up, it means your time is up.
But remember, the mindset of change is always with the presidential level than the parliamentary level.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah. A member of parliament could stay for a long time. The people still like him. They
and
love
there are so many examples.
There are so many examples we've seen. Some have been in parliament, for all these years.
Those people, you can tell the work that they do and how well they're able to engage their constituents. I mean, parliamentary seats, you don't take it for granted. Because you will go back and deal with the same people.
Exactly.
Okay, so it depends. I mean, those who, I wouldn't say were complacent or did not engage our people well, but most of the time you see those who also double as ministers of state, always suffering, because then you have too much work on your table, and so you're not able to deal with your constituents. But I don't know if you feel same way.
It's very possible that because at that level it is the human engagement, it is the mano a mano, the face to face, because I know you from the community. You understand? It's not today that you become an MP and so we don't see you anymore. You are no longer
and the guys in Lejokuku will define this for you.
They will punish you for it. I mean, there are certain areas where it's not even about your performance. It could be something as petty as you not saying hi to me when you see me on the road. You're not playing football with us. You get it, and that's what I mean. There are so many things.
And the local politics is always different from the national.
It is very, very petty at the local level.
It is always
very petty at the local level.
I've always said this story that when I followed Akufo-Addo in his presidential campaign from 2008. Remember, I went to a constituency in the central region there. And then once he was on stage talking about, I'll bring you free SHS, I'll do this. After the whole engagement, the chief met him one-on-one and said, Nana, free SHS, we agree. But the next town, they have a brass band. We don't have a brass band. so what we want for you is just get us a brass band and we vote for you.
Thank you.
I mean, everyone has.
That's what's important to the chief at that moment. Anyways, let's go to Akachi South and look at what the figures are saying. The NPP in 2012 polled just some 2,269, while the NDC did 29,761. It jumped to 2016, MPP improved on its performance, polling 3,260, and then you had the NDC decline to some 25,596. 2020, better performance, a decline for the NPP, where you had 2,789 for Akufo-Addo, and John Mahama also declining 11,160. Now, this should, this is where the crux of the matter is. If you jump to 2024 and see how the NDC performed regarding the presidential race in Akachi South. So mind you, there was a decline from 25,596 in 2016 to 11,160 for John Mahama. Look at what he's doing in 2024. 31,000. 31,000 from 11,000. And so this feeds
like
into
20,000 more.
Exactly. This feeds into what we've been saying all along, that general wave, because from 11,000 to 160 should tell you that the previous election year people just did not vote.
Yeah,
they had the numbers, and it will be interesting to know what the figures are saying regarding the number of new registrants for the elections, so that at least you can strike a balance in there. Because jumping from 11,000 to 31,000 is quite huge.
But what did NPP do in Akachi South in 2020? What was the number?
2020 MPP did 2,789, and 2024 they've dropped
2,000. So they've lost about
exactly some 600, 700 votes.
Yeah.
In
Anyway,
the
that is Akachi South.
Let's just stay in the Volta region, because North Ton, you asked me to do the North Ton constituency as well. It's always been green. It's always been green. And the best time the MPP performed well was in 2020, when MPP did almost 4,000. You know, the rest has been 2,000. So in 2012, MPP Akufo-Addo did 2,246. John Mahama of the NDC did 34,000. What a huge gap. In 2016, MPP did 2,843. NDC was doing 31,155. In 2020, Nana Akufo-Addo did 4,149. In 2020, John Mahama did 41,847. In 2024, Dr. Bawumia did 2,269. John Mahama is doing 15,115 votes in the North Tongue constituency. So when you look at the figures, it's always been green. And the best time the MPP performed well, if I would judge it that way, was in 2020 when Akufo-Addo did 4,000 thereover.
Well, so we'll be looking at more results as we move on, but we are still waiting for the EC, to give us what we need, that is figures, and eventually who won what.
But is it not interesting that, earlier we played the clip of former chairman of the NPP, Mark Manu. Of course, the way a lot of them speak show that things are not fine. But he said they were waiting for the EC, and that they're waiting on the collation centers to deliver the results. Meanwhile, we were told that by 8 p.m. on election night, they would give us the results from their own sources. And since when, in the last few elections, have they waited for the EC's result? They've always pulled, done their collation with their master, system. But since I've seen we've not seen that.
No, this time they say they want to wait for the EC. So with Mark Manu saying they are waiting for the EC, Sam George too says that he does not understand why they're not getting anything from the EC. So it looks like
the EC will always delay.
Exactly.
Because what comes out
is the final. We've had issues where there were mistakes and
the EC will always delay.
So this is what Sam George has been saying.
It's just unfortunate. It makes no sense. We've had all the pin sheets here before 12 midnight. It's 6 a.m. 6 hours, and we're not done with even just entering 206 polling stations. I just don't get it. This is clearly lack of efficiency. It's frustrating. It's as though this is intentional punishment, because they're not done with We haven't even started parliamentary. At this rate, we're going to be here till 12 midnight. I haven't slept since Thursday.
Did you hope to probably have a word with the EC officials on how for them to proceed in terms of the pace at which they are moving?
I understand they say there's one person who's supposed to. The gentleman looks sleepy. If he's supposed to have done this, he's not supposed to have done anything in the course of the day. He's supposed to have been fresh to work through the evening and the night. But he's been sleeping. He took a 3-hour break to sleep. I mean,
I was at the coalition center. I saw him doing nothing actually until the data started trickling in and he started imputing same.
He looks he looks sleepier than me, who hasn't slept in 2 days or 3 days. I just don't get it.
This is the Election Bureau still taking results that have come in. So we go over to Agyapong South, and with a presidential election, we have the NPP 16,516, NDC 13,232, NPP 16,516, NDC 13,232. So this is Agyapong South in the Eastern Region. Now we move on to Akachi South, NPP 2,195 and NDC 31,564. So all these results coming in are for the presidential election. Right, so we move on and we go over to Adaklu, where the NPP polled 1,375 against the NDC's 13,716. 13,716 for NDC and 1,375 for Adaklu. Right, so still expecting more results to come in. Quickly, we take a look at Okre, where the NPP polled 12,122 and NDC 9,266. Right, so in a short while, we'll also be bringing in the parliamentary results. But quickly, we also look at Ayawasu East, NPP 8,167 and NDC 22,864. 22,864 for the NDC. And right, so that is Ayawasu East in the Greater Accra region. Now, we've been joined by Council Richard De La Sky. Now is a serious issue at this point. I missed it.
No, just Richard De La Sky. Esquire. No, even Esquire.
No, we want to add it. We want to add it. Anyway, so you're welcome. And,
yes, I'm honored to be here.
Yes.
And good morning to all of us.
Good morning.
Yeah.
So results coming in a short while. We'll be looking at the parliamentary elections, but generally with what we've had so far with the presidential elections, I don't know what you make of that.
Well, I think as I was saying much earlier throughout the night, it seems to me that the results that are coming in are moving towards a certain direction. And the appetite for change appears to have found its way into the ballot boxes. And based on what we are seeing across the country, it does seem that it would take some earth-shattering miracle to confirm otherwise. The NPP appears to have performed rather poorly in a number of places that they otherwise would have been expected to have won. And a number of factors may well account for that. We'll be going into that. But my general impressions are that this appears to be a verdict or a referendum, if you like, on the tenure of the current administration. And it would be difficult for the trend as we see it to be overturned in a way.
Now, we've also received parliamentary results, okay? Pretty soon we are going to be displaying that as well. But let me pick your thoughts on some of the parliamentary results that have come in. For instance, Assin Central, okay? I mean, everybody would think that with the influence of Kennedy Agyapong, whether he's on the ballot paper or not, you still feel his influence in there somehow. But unfortunately, it went to NPP lost it, going to NDC. So you have the NPP parliamentary candidate, that's Aneo Godfred, getting 15,926, and Shaibu Nurain getting 16,343. Not too huge a margin, but does that surprise you in any way?
Well, it does not surprise me because of what I know about the general attitude of the party people in the constituency and what many had perceived to be an unfavorable outcome of the 2020 is it 2023, it would seem, yes.
The primaries?
Yeah, primary election primaries for the NPP. Look, I have heard some of the discussions around the weight of Kennedy Agyapong and the fact that his influence ought to have aided the NPP in retaining the particular seat we're talking about. Unfortunately, I think there are alternative facts. Kennedy Agyapong, with his weight, ideally could have actually moved the candidate of the party to win the elections. But the question is, the people on the ground, did they feel the presence of Kennedy Agyapong? Now, after he decided he was not going to run again, after he decided he was going to run for president, after the elections ended, we saw what appears to have been an attempt to support the party candidate. But was there real support? That's a question that the party people need to ask themselves. And then also, there was so much damage done by Kennedy's own utterances to the tickets that the NPP presented for the 2024 elections. Now, when it came down to it, in the dying embers of the campaign, what the NDC went with to the people of Ghana, these were voices, videos of Kennedy Agyapong saying the most destructive things that anyone could have thought of about the candidate presented by his party. You understand? So, you hear people from within the party suggest that, look, one of the biggest beneficiaries, and I made this point much earlier on radio some time ago, of the NPP administration will no doubt have been Kennedy Agyapong. But beyond that, what did we see? He was also one of the most critical of the administration. You hear, oh, I know this, I would expose this. I know this, I would expose that. They took this from me, they took that from me. And
if you dare me.
If you dare me. You know, and the people of Ghana were reminded
of all these.
Of all of these things. So when the resource in his own constituency, a constituency that is deep blue, flips the way we are hearing, then it is not so much an indictment on the NPP per se, but it is the legacy of Kennedy Agyapong himself that appears to be in tatters. Because he easily, if he wanted to, if he really wanted to, he could have rescued that seat for the NPP. But it does seem that he
well, interesting submission there. So we will come back, to the parliamentary elections properly with results that are coming in.